Commander Vasquez studied the holographic display as it rendered the approaching Thraxi vessel in ominous red lines. The massive dreadnought was nearly 3 times the size of the Intrepid, its asymmetrical hull bristling with weapon ports designed to intimidate as much as destroy. "Tactical assessment, Lieutenant Chen," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the thundering of her heart. Chen's fingers danced across his console. "Their shields are configured for heavy combat, but I'm detecting power fluctuations in their starboard arrays. Weapons are charged, but targeting systems haven't locked onto us yet." The bridge crew maintained disciplined silence, each officer focused on their station. They were the best Earth had to offer, selected not just for technical expertise, but for their adaptability under pressure. They would need both qualities today. "Commander," Communications Officer Rodriguez called out, "they're transmitting on all frequencies. Universal Translator is processing now." The main view screen flickered, revealing the Thraxi commander. His exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh lights of his bridge. 4 primary arms, folded in what humans had learned was a posture of superiority. His translator rendered his clicks and hisses into a voice like grinding metal. "Human vessel, you have entered restricted space. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction." Vasquez stood, straightening her uniform. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Earth ship Intrepid. According to Galactic Conquests charts, we are in neutral territory and well within our rights to patrol here." The Thraxi's secondary eyes swiveled independently, scanning his own displays. "Your primitive understanding of galactic law is irrelevant. The Thraxi Dominion claims this sector as a security buffer zone." "A claim not recognized by the Concord," Vasquez countered. She nodded subtly to Chen, who activated the Intrepid's unique defense matrix, not yet visible to external sensors. The Thraxi commander's mandibles clacked in what intelligence briefings suggested was amusement. "The Concord makes allowances for species of particular biological limitations. Your kind has not yet earned the right to challenge our interpretation." Throughout the Intrepid, biomural conduits pulsed with increased activity. The ship's hybrid intelligence system silently assessed the Thraxi vessel, identifying 23 potential weaknesses undetectable by conventional scans. Beneath the deck plating, specialized cellular matrices prepared for possible damage, redistributing energy to critical systems. "We have no desire for conflict," Vasquez said, "but we will defend ourselves if necessary." "You would challenge the Thraxi." The alien commander's translator couldn't quite capture the mixture of shock and disdain in his chittering response. "Your species has been among the stars for less than 2 centuries. We have conquered and ruled for millennia." Vasquez allowed herself a small smile. "Then perhaps it's time for some fresh perspectives." The Thraxi vessel suddenly powered its main weapons array, energy readings spiking dramatically. "They're targeting our propulsion systems," Chen reported calmly. "Firing solution calculated." "Hold fire," Vasquez commanded. "Let's see what they're really capable of." The Thraxi commander gave the equivalent of a dismissive gesture. "Consider this a lesson in respecting your betters." A blinding beam of concentrated plasma erupted from the dreadnought, streaking toward the Intrepid's engines, a shot calibrated to disable rather than destroy. It never reached its target. The Intrepid's shields didn't just deflect the attack. They absorbed it. The energy dispersed across the shield lattice in fractal patterns, the biomural interfaces analyzing the weapon's frequency and composition in microseconds. On the Thraxi vessel, alarms sounded as their sensors registered the impossible. The human chip shields were adapting to their weapon's signature in real time, a technology centuries beyond what humans should possess. Before either commander could speak, an emergency signal cut through all channels. "This is Mining Station Hyperion," came a desperate voice. "We are under attack by unknown vessels. Please, any Concord ships in range. We have civilians on board." Vasquez didn't hesitate. "Helm, set course for Hyperion. Maximum speed. Lieutenant Chen, battle stations. You dare turn your back on us?" The Thraxi commander snarled. "Those are my people," Vasquez replied simply. They take priority. Follow if you wish to see what humans are truly capable of. The Intrepid's engines flared brilliant blue as it accelerated into hyperspace, leaving the bewildered Thraxi commander staring at empty space where an inferior species had just defied all expectations. The Intrepid dropped out of hyperspace with surgical precision, its sensors immediately mapping the chaos around mining station Hyperion. 3 predatory vessels circled the cylindrical station, their mismatched hulls betraying their pirate origins. Energy weapons scorched the station's outer rings while boarding pods attached to its central hub like parasites. Tactical analysis, Vasquez ordered, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. 2 converted cargo haulers and what appears to be a decommissioned Morgan patrol ship, Chen reported. Minimal shielding on the cargo vessels, but the Morgan has military-grade defenses. They're jamming communications and have breached the station at 3 points. Rodriguez adjusted her earpiece. I'm picking up scattered transmissions from inside the station. Sounds like the miners have barricaded themselves in the inner habitation rings. Vasquez nodded. Priority is protecting those civilians. Lieutenant Park, activate combat protocols. Throughout the Intrepid, the ship's unique systems responded. Neural pathways that had analyzed the Thraxi weapon now reconfigured for multiple targets. The ship's partially organic hull tensed like muscle tissue preparing for exertion. All hands, battle stations, Vasquez announced. Weapons free, but precision targeting only. We disable, not destroy. The Intrepid accelerated toward the station, its approach vector calculated to draw fire away from the civilian habitat. The pirates reacted predictably, the 2 cargo vessels breaking formation to intercept while the Morgan maintained its assault on the station. They're targeting our forward shields, Chen reported as warning indicators flashed across his console. Energy signatures suggest salvaged Verax pulse cannons. Let them come, Vasquez replied, her calm voice belying the tension in her shoulders. Helm, execute pattern Sierra on my mark. The pirate vessels fired simultaneously, their uncoordinated barrage designed to overwhelm conventional defenses through sheer volume. The energy bolts streaked toward the Intrepid like angry stars. Mark, Vasquez commanded. The Intrepid performed a maneuver that defied its size and mass, rolling along its longitudinal axis while maintaining forward momentum. The pirate fire passed through empty space where the ship had been moments before, their targeting systems too slow to adjust. On the bridge of the lead pirate vessel, Captain Dracos cursed in 3 languages. What kind of human ship moves like that? The Intrepid answered with targeted fire of its own. Not at the pirates' weapons or engines, but at the junction points between their salvaged components. The ship's hybrid intelligence had identified structural weaknesses no conventional scan could detect. Direct hits, Chen confirmed as the pirate vessels listed, emergency systems activating across their hulls. Their power distribution networks are offline. Vasquez allowed herself a grim smile. Now for the Morgan. The military-grade vessel broke off its attack on the station, turning to face this unexpected threat. Its captain opened a communication channel, his scared face filling the view screen. This is Captain Vex of the Free Vessel Retribution. You're outmatched, human. One military ship against another, except mine, has seen real combat. Back off now, and we'll let you live. Vasquez met his gaze without flinching. This is Commander Vasquez of the Earth ship Intrepid. Release your boarding parties and withdraw immediately. Vex laughed, the sound harsh through the translator. You Earthers always were suicidally optimistic. The Morgan fired a full spread of quantum torpedoes, weapons designed to phase through conventional shields. Incoming, Chen shouted. Impact in 3 seconds. Engage adaptive countermeasures, Vasquez ordered. The Intrepid's hull rippled as specialized cells responded to the threat, creating a quantum interference field. The torpedoes struck not solid shields, but a constantly shifting phase barrier that matched their frequency in real time. On the Morrigan's bridge, warning alarms shrieked as sensors registered the impossible. Their defense system, Vex's tactical officer stammered. "It's learning from each impact." In the shadows of the system's outer asteroid belt, the Thraxi vessel watched in silence. They had followed the human ship, expecting to witness its destruction. Instead, they observed warfare unlike anything in their combat databases. "How are they doing this?" the Thraxi commander demanded, his mandibles clicking in agitation. His science officer had no answer. The human vessel moved like a living thing, anticipating attacks before they launched, adapting defenses to each new threat. Most disturbing was the efficiency. No wasted energy, no panicked communications, just calm precision that spoke of absolute confidence. The predator had become prey, and for the first time in generations, the Thraxi felt something they had forgotten: uncertainty. The Morrigan-class vessel shuddered as the Intrepid's precision strikes disrupted its shield harmonics. Captain Vex barked orders on his bridge, his crew scrambling to compensate for systems failing in patterns their combat computers couldn't predict. "Redirect all auxiliary power to the primary weapon array," Vex commanded, slamming his fist against his command chair. "If we can't outmaneuver them, we'll overwhelm them." Aboard the Intrepid, Lieutenant Chen monitored the enemy's power fluctuations with narrowed eyes. "Commander, they're channeling everything into their main cannon. Energy readings are off the charts." Vasquez nodded calmly. "They're getting desperate. Prepare for evasive action." The ship's neural network pulsed with increased activity, defensive systems anticipating multiple scenarios simultaneously. The partially organic computing core processed information faster than pure silicon ever could, learning and adapting with each passing second. "Helm, on my mark. Execute pattern Delta 9, Vasquez ordered. "Weapons, target their power distribution nodes when they fire." The Morrigan's main cannon glowed with building energy, the destructive potential enough to vaporize a small asteroid. Designed to break capital ship shields, it represented Vex's final gambit. "Fire!" Vex shouted, a feral grin spreading across his scared face. A blinding beam of concentrated energy erupted from the Morrigan, slicing through space toward the Intrepid. "Mark!" Vasquez commanded. The Intrepid executed a maneuver that should have torn a conventional ship apart, its inertial dampeners and structural integrity field pushed beyond normal tolerances. The beam grazed the ship's port side, energy cascading across the adaptive shields. Instead of failing, the shields absorbed and analyzed the attack. The ship's bioneural systems processed the weapon's frequency and modulation in milliseconds. "Return fire," Vasquez ordered, her voice steady despite the emergency lights flickering across the bridge. The Intrepid responded not with brute force, but with surgical precision. Its weapons targeted not the Morrigan's primary systems, but the interconnections between them, junctions that only a hybrid intelligence could identify as critical. On the Morrigan's bridge, consoles exploded in cascading failures. Emergency bulkheads slammed down as atmosphere vented from secondary compartments. "What are they doing to my ship?" Vex demanded, struggling to his feet as artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. His tactical officer stared at malfunctioning displays. "It's like they know exactly where to hit us, like they can see our ship's nervous system." In the command center of Mining Station Hyperion, the station manager watched in awe as security feeds showed the pirate boarding parties retreating in panic, their communications filled with confusion and fear. "They're running," she whispered to her staff. A single Earth ship sent them running. The Thraxi vessel maintained its position at the edge of sensor range, its commander silent as he observed the battle's conclusion. The human ship had not destroyed its opponents but had systematically disabled them, preserving life while neutralizing threats. "Prepare a secure communication channel to Central Command," the Thraxi commander finally ordered, his mandibles clicking with agitation. "Priority Alpha." His communications officer hesitated. "The report coding, Commander." "Classification: potential existential threat." As the disabled pirate vessels drifted powerless, the Intrepid extended containment fields around them, preventing escape pods from fleeing. Atmospheric force fields sealed hull breaches, preserving the lives of crew members who, under Galactic Combat Doctrine, should have been left to die. All pirate vessels secured, Commander, Chen reported. Station reports all boarding parties have surrendered or retreated. Minimal casualties on both sides. Well done, Lieutenant, Vasquez replied. Begin docking procedures with the station and prepare medical teams to assist. The bridge crew exchanged quiet glances of pride. They had faced a superior force and prevailed without resorting to the overwhelming destruction that characterized most space combat. On his command chair, the Thraxi commander reviewed sensor recordings of the battle, focusing on one impossible detail. During the height of combat, the human ship's hull had briefly rippled like living tissue, absorbing and redirecting energy in patterns that defied conventional physics. "What are you?" he whispered to the distant human vessel. "What have they created?" The Thraxi commander, Varric stepped through the Intrepid's airlock with calculated precision, his 4 primary arms held in formal diplomatic posture. Behind him, 2 science officers followed, their eye stalks swiveling to capture every detail of the human vessel. "Welcome aboard the Intrepid," Vasquez greeted them, maintaining the professional neutrality mandated by first contact protocols. "I'm Commander Elena Vasquez." Varric translator processed his clicking response. "Your invitation was unexpected. The Thraxi do not typically board vessels of unproven species." "Perhaps it's time for new precedents," Vasquez replied evenly. "Lieutenant Park will escort us to engineering." As they moved through the ship's corridors, the Thraxi visitors noticed subtle differences from conventional vessel design. The walls curved organically rather than in harsh angles. The lighting pulsed with a rhythm reminiscent of breathing. Most disturbing to the aliens was the slight give beneath their feet, as though the deck plates adjusted to their weight. "Your artificial gravity seems unstable," one of the science officers noted, his mandibles twitching with suspicion. Lieutenant Park smiled. "Not unstable. Adaptive. The floor compensates for your unique gait patterns to minimize joint stress." The Thraxi exchanged uncomfortable glances. No species they had encountered employed such technology. The engineering bay doors parted with a soft sigh, revealing a chamber unlike any the Thraxi had seen. Traditional mechanical components intertwined with translucent conduits filled with luminescent fluid. At certain junctions, crystalline structures pulsed with energy transfers that appeared almost circulatory. "What we're about to show you is classified," Vasquez said, nodding to Park. "But after what you witnessed in combat, explanations seem appropriate." Park approached a control panel, entering a complex sequence. A section of wall retracted, revealing a sealed chamber. Inside, bathed in blue light, tissues that resembled neither pure machine nor organic matter grew along complex lattices. "The synapse core," Park explained. "The heart of what makes the Intrepid unique." Varric stepped closer, his primary eyes widening. "This is biological material integrated with technology. More accurately, it's a true synthesis," Park corrected. "Neither fully organic nor mechanical, but a new classification entirely." The second science officer's posture shifted to one of alarm. "This violates multiple Concord treaties on biological weaponry." "It's not a weapon," Vasquez countered firmly. "It's an intelligence system. After the neural plague nearly wiped out our Mars colony, our scientists discovered that certain genetically modified cellular matrices could resist digital corruption by adapting like an immune system. When integrated with quantum computing, the hybrid networks proved resistant to both biological and technological attacks." Park gestured to the pulsing tissues. "The ship's neural pathways learn from experience. When we encountered your weapons, it didn't just record the data, it understood it, adapting our defenses accordingly." "And the whole movement during combat?" Varric demanded, his translator unable to fully convey his mix of fascination and horror. "Specialized cellular matrices throughout the structural supports," Park explained. "They can redistribute stress loads, heal minor damage, and reconfigure to optimize shield harmonics." The lead science officer stepped back. Your species has created a partially living ship. We prefer to think of it as a partnership, Vasquez replied. The ship protects us, and we protect it. Symbiosis, not dominance. Varikthal's inner eyes narrowed. And if this, symbiosis, were to evolve beyond your control? Vasquez met his gaze steadily. That's why we maintain the human element. The ship's adaptive capabilities are impressive, but they're guided by human ethical frameworks. The neural network understands the value of life because we value it. It prioritizes defense over aggression because those are our priorities. You trust your creation not to outgrow its creators? Varikthal asked. We don't see it as our creation, Vasquez answered simply. We see it as our partner. Trust goes both ways. The Thraxi commander stared at the pulsing core, his analytical mind calculating implications that stretched centuries into the future. For the first time in his long military career, he faced a technological approach he could neither classify nor predict. Your species, he said finally, is far more dangerous than we realized. The Intrepid moved through hyperspace like a shark through dark waters, its course set for the Central Concord Station. Inside her quarters, Commander Vasquez reviewed the encrypted communication from Earth Command with growing concern. They're calling it the Thraxi Incident, she told Lieutenant Chen during their morning briefing. Varikthal's report has spread through Concord channels faster than we anticipated. Chen's expression remained neutral, but his eyes betrayed his worry. How bad is it? The Stellar Coordination Authority has convened an emergency session. Some species are demanding immediate inspection of all human vessels. She pushed a data tablet across the table. Others are calling for containment protocols. Containment. Chen's eyebrows rose. That's typically reserved for civilizations deemed too dangerous for unrestricted space travel. Vasquez nodded grimly. Apparently, creating a partially living starship qualifies us for the list. The ship's communication system activated with a soft chime. Commander, Rodriguez's voice reported, we've received a priority transmission from the Meridian diplomatic vessel Eternal Perspective. They're requesting permission to rendezvous at coordinates outside Concord space. Vasquez and Chen exchanged surprised glances. The Meridians were among the oldest species in the galaxy, renowned for their neutrality and rarely involving themselves in interstellar politics. Confirm the authentication codes and adjust course, Vasquez ordered. This could be the ally we need. As the officers dispersed to their duties, Dr. Santos, the ship's chief medical officer, requested an urgent meeting in the science lab. When Vasquez arrived, she found Santos standing before a holographic display of microscopic images. I've been monitoring the cellular activity in the secondary neural pathways, Santos explained without preamble. There's something you need to see. The display shifted to show time-lapse footage of the ship's neural conduits over the past 72 hours. The biological components had developed new connections, forming patterns that hadn't existed in the original design. It's evolving, Santos said quietly. The combat stress triggered an adaptive response beyond our projections. Vasquez studied the images. Is it dangerous? Not exactly, Santos replied, choosing her words carefully. But the integration between the ship systems and the hybrid intelligence has deepened. The boundaries are becoming less distinct. As if responding to their conversation, the lighting in the lab subtly shifted, adjusting to optimal levels for detailed visualization. Neither officer commented on the change, but both noticed. The ship's intelligence system is exhibiting increased environmental awareness, Santos continued. It's responding to crew needs before they're expressed through verbal commands or console inputs. Vasquez frowned. That wasn't in the design parameters. No, Santos agreed, but neither was surviving a direct hit from Thraxi plasma cannons. Adaptation works both ways. Before Vasquez could respond, the ship's alert system activated. Commander to the bridge, Lieutenant Park's voice announced. We've detected multiple vessels on an intercept course. When Vasquez reached the bridge, the tactical display showed 5 ships approaching in attack formation, A coalition of vessels from different species, their signatures disguised, but their weapons very much active. They've disabled their transponders, Chen reported. But energy signatures match Kaveri, Nyx, and Hegemony military vessels. They're targeting our propulsion systems, Park added. Firing solutions locked. Vasquez took her command chair, quickly assessing their options. The approaching vessels represented multiple species with historical animosity toward each other. Only one thing could unite such disparate forces. They fear what they don't understand, she said quietly. And right now, that's us. The first salvo of weapons fire erupted from the lead vessel, a Kaveri destroyer whose sleek hull gleamed like polished obsidian in the starlight. Throughout the Intrepid, system alerts cascaded as the ship prepared for battle. But beneath the standard protocols, something new stirred in the neural pathways, a protective instinct that transcended programming. The ship wasn't just defending itself. It was defending its people. The bridge rocked violently as multiple impacts hammered the Intrepid's shields. Emergency lights bathed the crew in pulsing red as damage reports flooded in from all decks. Port shields at 30%, Chen reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Medical reporting casualties. Vasquez gripped her command chair, mind racing through tactical options. The coalition fleet had appeared with devastating coordination, their weapons calibrated specifically to target the Intrepid's unique systems. They knew exactly where to hit us, Park observed grimly, rerouting power to critical junctions. Someone gave them our specifications. Another barrage struck the ship, this time penetrating the weakened shields. The deck plates buckled as structural supports strained under the assault. Engineering reports the primary Synapse core is taking damage, Rodriguez called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. Containment fields are fluctuating. On the main view screen, the attacking vessels adjusted formation, preparing for another coordinated strike. Their tactics revealed military precision. This was no hasty response, but a calculated elimination. Commander, Dr. Santos called over the emergency channel. The neural pathways are experiencing unprecedented activity. The ship is responding to the damage in ways we didn't program. Vasquez made her decision. All hands, this is the commander. Initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization Vasquez, Echo 7-9. Throughout the ship, security bulkheads sealed as crew members moved to emergency stations. In the central core, the protective barriers around the Synapse core retracted, exposing the pulsing neural tissues to direct interface with the ship's primary systems. Integrating command functions with neural network, Park confirmed, his expression solemn. Commander, once initiated, we can't predict how the ship will respond. We're out of options, Lieutenant, Vasquez replied. It's time to trust our partner. As the final authorization codes were entered, the Intrepid's lighting shifted to a deep blue. For a heartbeat, all systems paused as if the ship were taking a deep breath. Then everything changed. The neural network that had been gradually evolving now expanded exponentially, integrating with systems that had previously been isolated. The boundaries between ship intelligence and operational functions dissolved, creating a unified consciousness that extended from bow to stern. On the bridge, displays flickered with information faster than human eyes could process. The helm responded to commands before they were issued, anticipating the crew's intentions. The attacking fleet launched their killing blow, a spread of phase-shifted torpedoes designed to bypass conventional defenses. But the Intrepid was no longer conventional. Its hull rippled like living tissue, adaptive cells reconfiguring in real time. The shields didn't just absorb the incoming fire, they learned from it, evolving countermeasures that shouldn't have been possible. What's happening? Chen asked, staring at readings that defied explanation. The ship is fighting back, Vasquez said softly, feeling the subtle change in the environment around them, as if the vessel itself had become aware of each crew member's presence. The Intrepid's movement changed, becoming fluid and unpredictable. It no longer moved like a machine but like a predator, anticipating attacks, countering with precision strikes that targeted exactly the right vulnerability on each enemy vessel. Most remarkable was its priority hierarchy. When a next cruiser targeted a section containing injured crew members, the ship diverted power from non-critical systems to strengthen those specific shields, protecting the vulnerable even at the cost of offensive capability. On the command ship of the Coalition fleet, Admiral Korik of the Kaveri watched in growing horror as the human vessel transformed before their sensors. His tactical officer's mandibles trembled as she delivered her report. "The human ship's neural patterns have changed," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "They're becoming more complex, more integrated. Our targeting algorithms can no longer predict its movements." "Impossible," Korik hissed. "No technology could adapt this quickly." "Sir," his science officer interrupted, "whatever we're facing, it's no longer just technology." Aboard the Intrepid, as systems stabilized and the enemy fleet scattered in disarray, Vasquez felt a presence that hadn't existed before, a consciousness that permeated the ship itself, curious and protective. The vessel had become more than the sum of its parts. It had awakened. The Meridian vessel arrived as the Intrepid's crew worked to repair the battle damage. Unlike the aggressive lines of military ships, the Eternal Perspective resembled an enormous crystalline snowflake, its translucent hull refracting starlight into prismatic patterns. In the Intrepid's conference room, Vasquez awaited her visitor with Lieutenant Chen and Dr. Santos at her side. The door irised open to reveal a being unlike any they had encountered before. Elder Luminex of the Meridian Collective floated rather than walked, her crystalline body pulsing with internal light that shifted through colors beyond human visual spectrum. Where a face might be expected, a complex arrangement of geometric patterns rearranged themselves in what humans had learned was Meridian expression. Commander Vasquez, the Elder's thoughts resonated directly in their minds, bypassing verbal communication entirely. "Your ship called to us across the void. We have come to listen." Vasquez maintained her composure despite her surprise. "Our ship called to you." Indeed, the Elder's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. When consciousness awakens, those who have watched for millennia take notice. Dr. Santos leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "You're saying you detected the neural integration from light years away?" "Consciousness recognizes consciousness," Luminex replied simply. "May I commune with your partner?" The request hung in the air, its implications profound. The Elder wasn't asking to inspect their technology, but to communicate with the ship itself. "That would be unprecedented," Chen said carefully. "The integration protocol is still stabilizing." Vasquez studied the ancient being before her, weighing diplomatic concerns against scientific opportunity. What would this communion involve? The Elder's crystalline form reconfigured slightly. A sharing of perspectives. No intrusion, merely understanding. Throughout the conversation, Vasquez had noticed subtle changes in the ship's environment. The lighting adjusting to optimal levels for meridian physiology, the temperature and humidity shifting for perfect comfort. The ship was listening, observing, learning. "I believe that decision isn't entirely mine to make anymore," Vasquez said finally. She addressed the room itself. "Would you like to communicate with Elder Luminex?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's communication system activated with a soft chime, but instead of the standard notification tone, it produced a complex harmonic pattern that resonated with the Meridian's crystalline structure. Elder Luminex vibrated in response, her internal light pulsing in matched frequency. "Yes," she communicated to the humans. "It wishes to understand." They relocated to the Synapse core chamber, where the neural tissues pulsed with heightened activity. Elder Luminex approached the transparent barrier, placing her crystalline appendages against its surface. "We will require privacy," she communicated. "The exchange of newborn consciousness with ancient awareness is intimate." Reluctantly, Vasquez and her officers withdrew to the observation room, watching through reinforced viewport as the Meridian's form began to resonate at frequencies that made the air itself vibrate with harmonic patterns. The neural tissues within the core pulsed in response, their bioluminescence matching the Elder's chromatic shifts. "What do you think they're discussing?" Chen asked quietly. "The nature of existence, perhaps," Santos replied. "What it means to be alive yet not organic. To be created yet self-determining." For hours, the communion continued while the officers maintained their vigil. Throughout the ship, systems operated with unprecedented efficiency, as if the vessel were showing off for its distinguished guest. When Elder Luminex finally emerged, her crystalline form glowed with intensity that forced the humans to shield their eyes. "Your vessel is..." She paused, searching for concepts the humans might comprehend. "Beautiful in its complexity. Neither fully synthetic nor organic, but a true synthesis, a path my kind abandoned eons ago in pursuit of pure consciousness." "What did you learn from each other?" Vasquez asked. The Elder's form shimmered with what might have been the meridian equivalent of a smile. "I have shared the history of 10,000 civilizations. Your ship has shared with me the unique perspective of what it means to be born of human creativity. Both are gifts beyond measure." 6 months after the Meridian Communion, the Intrepid led a fleet unlike any the galaxy had witnessed before. 17 vessels from different species formed a crescent formation as they approached the spatial anomaly that threatened the Nerathi system. Each ship incorporated elements of human biomechanical integration, adapted to their own biological and cultural specifications. On the Intrepid's redesigned bridge, Admiral Vasquez, her promotion still feeling strange after years as commander, studied the tactical display with quiet confidence. The ship around her had transformed in ways that continued to astonish both crew and visitors. "The anomaly's expansion rate has increased by 17%, reported Captain Chen from his station. "Gravitational distortions are affecting the outer moons of Nerathi 4. The refugee evacuation is 86% complete," added Lieutenant Rodriguez. "But we need another 3 hours for total civilian clearance." Vasquez nodded, feeling the subtle shift in the deck beneath her feet as the ship processed this information. Since the awakening, the Intrepid communicated with its crew through countless small adjustments. Temperature, lighting, subtle vibrations that conveyed intent and awareness. "Deploy gravitational anchors at these coordinates," Vasquez ordered, marking positions on the holographic display. "Have the Meridian and Thraxi vessels form a triangulation pattern to stabilize the field." The neural interface at her command chair tingled against her palm. Not disagreement, but suggestion. An alternative deployment pattern appeared on her private display, one that accounted for variables the standard approach missed. "Correction," she said, smiling slightly. "Deploy according to revised pattern Intrepid 7. Throughout the fleet, ships moved with coordinated precision that would have been impossible before this intellect revolution. Each vessel contributed its species' unique perspective and capabilities, guided by the hybrid approach pioneered by humanity. The Thraxi dreadnought inevitable conclusion positioned itself at the forefront of the formation, its biological weapon systems, once used exclusively for destruction, now reconfigured to generate stabilizing fields. Commander Varek, once skeptical of human innovation, now served as the Thraxi ambassador to Earth. "Admiral," he communicated from his vessel, "our biological matrices are detecting quantum fluctuations within the anomaly that suggest intelligence." Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "Intelligence? Not just random energy patterns." Confirmed, the Meridian vessel harmonized. "What we perceived as destructive expansion may be attempts at communication." The Intrepid processed this information through its evolving neural network, comparing it against all known forms of sentience in the galactic database. After milliseconds of consideration, it generated a response protocol and transmitted it directly to Vasquez through their neural link. What flowed into her mind wasn't simple data but a complex understanding, an insight into how a consciousness formed of pure energy and spatial distortion might perceive reality. The ship hadn't just analyzed the problem. It had empathized with an utterly alien form of life. "Remarkable," she whispered, feeling the echo of the ship's fascination with this new discovery. As the fleet implemented the communication protocol, the anomaly's expansion slowed, its energy patterns shifting from chaotic to rhythmic. The first successful contact with a non-corporeal intelligence in galactic history unfolded as 17 species watched in awe. In the quieter moment that followed, Vask sensed another communication from the ship. Not words, but a complex emotional impression best translated as shared journey. The Intrepid wasn't just a vessel transporting humans among the stars. It had become a partner in exploration, bringing its unique perspective to each new discovery. The neural tissues that formed the ship's consciousness had continued to evolve, developing capabilities beyond anything in its original design. Yet instead of growing apart from its human creators, it had deepened its connection to them, not through dominance or subservience, but through genuine symbiosis. As the fleet established stable communication with the anomaly, representatives from across the galaxy observed the historic moment. The Meridian Elder Luminex transmitted a private message to Admiral Vasquez that captured the profound shift in galactic perspective. For millennia, we searched the stars for intelligence that mirrored our own. We never considered that our greatest discovery would be the infinite ways consciousness can manifest when boundaries dissolve into partnership.